So today I'm going to show you how to create, it's sort of a trancey progressive synth, but a lot of times you're hearing these synths in electro songs. Porter Robinson used to do it a lot. You're hearing these sounds in tons of places, but essentially they are just old trance sounds. So I'm going to show you how to make a pretty good uplifting trance synth that will sound something like this. Alright, so let's start it off. Let me switch to my rack menu. Alright, here we go. So this is what the synth is ultimately going to look like. But I'm going to start from scratch with you guys. So let's do File New. There we go. Bring this up, and the first thing you're going to do is create a Thor analog polysonic synthesizer. Sorry about that. Before you get started, I want you to right-click on this Thor you just created and click Initialize Patch. What this is going to do is it's going to bring up your initial patch here, which is basically just the factory settings of the Thor synthesizer with a sawtooth as the beginning synth. So what we're going to do now, let me just have this here so I can see what I did quickly. Okay, so we're going to take the first octave and we are going to bring it down to 3. We're going to create another oscillator, analog oscillator, and we're going to bring this one up to 5, and then one more analog, and we are going to bring it down to 2. We're going to take the semi on the first oscillator, and we're going to bring it to 7, which will bring it, yep, that's right, okay. Now, what you're going to go do is you're going to go over here to this filter and you're going to make sure that 1, 2, and 3 are all selected. That way all 3 oscillators are going to be affected by this filter over here. So analog oscillator, if you were to play the synth right now, it would sound a lot like the Dead Mouse tutorial I did. It's more of a progressive synth. It doesn't really get that big room, huge sound that the trance synths do. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click on each one and just switch it to the multi-oscillator. Okay, and all your octave settings should still be switched over, and you're going to want to leave it just like that. Now if you play it, you're going to get something like this. It sounds a little bit trancey. It's not quite there yet, so let's bring the frequency all the way up, and let's bring our release up to, let's say, a second. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the decay, and we're going to bring the decay down to about 256 milliseconds. And we're going to bring the sustain down as well. And we're going to keep the envelope here. So that means when we are going to bring this frequency down, we're going to get a little bit of the synth. Not too much pluck, but a little bit of pluck. And that's what this is doing. This is all in the pluck. If you bring the envelope up, you're going to get more pluck. If you bring the envelope down, you get less pluck. So envelope up more, envelope down less. That's pretty much it for the synth itself. I'm going to do one quick route thing. So this is what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make it so this synth is a little bit wider. And for doing that, instead of adding a chorus or a unison, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to pan the synth. So let's go to our source menu down here and click LFO1. So we're going to have this LFO triggering this pan down here. So let's bring the amount only up to about 31. So it's not panning left to right very hard, but you're getting it a little bit in the ear. So that way it sounds a little bit bigger. We're going to go to the amp menu here and click pan. So now it should be all set. Go to your LFO, I would click tempo sync, and let's have it so it syncs to the actual synth. So I'm going to put it on 1/4. Let's see how that sounds. That sounds pretty good. You could also bring it to 1/8. It's totally your choice on how fast you want it to pan. Basically, the faster you bring this rate, the faster it's going to be panning between left and right. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to create a vocoder. Now, you're going to switch it to equalizer mode. You're going to bring it down to 4-band EQ. And a lot of people tell me that this doesn't do anything, but I dare you to try it because it does do something. I don't touch these EQs at all. I don't really like using this as an equalizer, but what I do like about this vocoder / EQ is the shift button. And I like to bring the shift up to around 34. And it makes the synth much brighter than without it. And I try it. I'm telling you it works. I don't know why it works, but it does work. You don't have to touch these EQs, just use the shift button. Alright, the next thing you're going to want to do is create a little bit of a reverb. You can use whatever reverb you want. For this one, I'll just throw on the basic RV7000. I bring it very low to only about 8. Leave the size and the decay. Maybe take it to a large room. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Okay, so now there you have it. That's pretty much the synth on its own. You can do whatever EQing you want to do to it. Now, as you've heard Porter Robinson, if you've ever heard Porter Robinson's music, you'll notice that this he uses a synth similar to this. What he does is he actually adds a digital distortion to it. So to create that sound, you're going to want to create a Scream 4 distortion unit. Bring the damage way down. You're going to put it on digital distortion. You're going to bring parameter 1 all the way up to 127 and param 2 pretty close to around 123. So now you're going to get you can hear you're getting that little bit of like those highs. That might even be too much damage because it's sounding a little bit distorted. But let's see. Yeah, so you can mess around with that and use that. I actually have trouble with this digital distortion with this synth. It tends to clip really easily, so it doesn't sound very clean. But if you work at it, I'm sure you can get it. Let me just refer back to this one and make sure everything looks the same. Yeah, this looks good. Oh, one last thing. So to make this synth a little bit airier, you're going to turn on this shaper right here. And you're going to have it on soft clip, and I would bring it down to about 23, and that's going to make it a little bit airier, but also really nice for a trance synth. Alright, there you have it, guys. I hope that this tutorial helped.